Greetings, ladies and metal gents. This video is brought to you by you guys, the guys who support this channel to help keep the lights on in these wonky, weird times, both on Patreon and channel members. For as little as $1, you can support this channel and blah, 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 blah. There's links and stuff down below. I don't want to hark on too much about it. If you can't afford it, that is perfectly fine. Just watching the video and interacting with it would be absolutely Chad. Anyways, on to the story. An entirely uneventful afternoon, written by TheloniousHowe.
Is he dead?
A small voice asked.
I don't know. He looks kinda dead. Should we tell someone?
A smaller one responded. Mark was very much not dead. His garden was weeded, his lawn was cut, and when he took to his hammock, the only clouds in the sky were the ones that looked like undyed cotton candy lazily inching their way across the atmosphere. It was the perfect day for enjoying, and he had intended on doing just that. So he formulated a plan of attack. It wasn't a good one, mind you, but it was all he could muster, having already shut off his brain in anticipation of some well-earned relaxation. He would keep his eyes closed, not engage, and hope that the troublemakers got bored and wandered away. But, as any seasoned veteran will tell you, no plan survives contact with the enemy, and in this case, contact quickly came in the form of a thin stick gently poking him in the ribs. "What?" he grumbled, though it was more of a statement than a question.
"Oh, we thought you might be dead. We're glad you're not,"
the first voice responded. "No, what do you want?" Mark refused to look at these interlopers, secretly hoping that his lack of enthusiasm would dissuade them from carrying on with whatever scheme they were brewing. A brief silence that followed gave him a faint glimmer of hope. Maybe his ploy had worked, and the youngsters retreated to find someone or something that exuded more life than him.
"Guns!"
A third unfamiliar voice spoke up, quickly dashing any expectations of undisturbed afternoon. Mark opened one of his eyes to the usual suspects. The avian sash stood next to, and about a head over the reptilian Griff. He would soon outgrow her, but right now she had the advantage of age, and was therefore the de facto leader of the pair. His sight then fell on who had made the unfamiliar heir, smaller than either of the other children. It looked as though some madcap geneticist slammed a wombat headfirst into a meerkat and threw on some rabbit ears for good measures. "And you are?" He wasn't going to entertain the demand for an arsenal until at least he knew who he was dealing with.
"I'm Uma,"
the womcat declared proudly. "Of course you are. Well, Uma, what makes you think I have guns?"
"Papa says humans like guns, and you're a human, so you like guns. And if you like guns, you have guns,"
the little creature rambled. Absolutely impeccable reasoning, Mark thought to himself. Not that she was wrong, though. He did have guns, lots of guns, but not for the reason that she had thought. Right answer, wrong formula. He drew his wrist in front of his open eye. "Right. And what do 3 delinquents need with guns at 15:30 on Sunday?" He was hoping one of the other two would answer his question, lest he'd have to pull the mental gymnastics through another flawed logic train, and much to his relief, it was Sash who answered him.
"Salvo's coming back. He was in town a little while ago, and Mr. Mayhew paid him. He did, but Salvo said something about inflation, so he needed more. But Mr. Mayhew said that he can't afford it, that it would break the town. So Salvo said that he'd be back, and if we didn't pay him what he wanted, he was going to burn a jealous farm, and then another farm, and another, until we realized that he was serious and paid him."
Mark drew in a long breath, so long that one of the few standing next to him would not be unreasonable to assume that his lungs held 3 to 4 times their actual capacity. "Fuck."
"Hey," Uma squeaked, "you said bad word."
Griff gave the little one a soft punch to the arm.
"He's allowed to. He's an adult."
Mark opened his other eye and stared down at Sash. "How many?"
"Well, he said he was coming back with 100, but I think he's just being boastful."
Mark responded non-committally as he swung his legs over the side of the hammock, pulling himself, with some difficulty, from the comfortable cotton fabric. He motioned for the trio to follow him. The group made their way across Mark's property to what could only be described as an oversized shed that adorned the edge of his land. He placed his hand on a small pad, and the door hissed before slowly rolling itself open. Mark flipped a small switch, and light slowly rolled over the contents of the building. Griff smiled, Sash stared in disbelief, and Uma squealed with delight. Inside was a veritable armory. Racks upon racks adorned every spare space, holding every type of firearm imaginable. Mark clapped his hands together. All right, guns. Gotta ask, though, why on earth did they send you three?
Nobody sent us, Sash scoffed. Everyone is too afraid to stand against Salvor. I was sick of it, so I got some of my friends together. Most of them were cowards and didn't want to antagonize Salvor, but Uma and Gruff agreed with me. Plus, Mr. Mayhew might be a little bit more generous with his soda fountain, Gruff said.
Mark sighed. Ugh, fuck.
You really like that word,
Uma chimed, earning another soft shot to the arm. Just stay here for a second, Mark said, making his way further into the shed and disappearing behind one of the racks. And don't touch anything. Not that his addendum was necessary. The three children were caught in a trance, just staring into the room, all ears listening to the sound of rummaging taking place behind one of the shelves, just out of sight. When he strode back into view, Mark hardly looked like the same person. He was clad from his neck to his toes in slack grey metal armor, and under one arm was a helmet of much the same material, its red circular eyes glowing with an ominous malevolence. Over his other shoulder was slung what could only be classified as some sort of cannon. On the forehead of the helm and the left breast of the torso were etched three alien symbols.
What do those mean?
Uma asked, pointing to his chest. Mark glanced down, seemingly forgotten there was anything emblazoned there at all. VMC, it's a Venusian Marine Corps. Any trepidation the three may have had coming to this resident recluse for help vanished immediately. Standing before them, in flesh and steel, stood what might as well have been a hero from one of their visual novels.
No way! You were a Hellion?
Griff's excitement was palpable, but Mark visibly winced at being referred to by the title. The damned 44th, the Skyburners, the Hellions were all names the VMC had been baptized with during the war. Names that could inspire hope in any member of the Union and strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. All of which had been bought with blood, and Mark knew that he would be paying for them long after this life. But he didn't hold it against the children. They hardly knew any better. To them, he was a champion, not a butcher, and he would much rather it stay that way.
So which ones do we get?
Griff pressed on as he grabbed a submachine gun from a nearby rack, poorly looking down at sight. Mark deftly marched over to the small lizard and firmly wrenched the gun from his grasp. None of them. What is about to happen is no place for children. All three of the small creatures looked at him with disappointment, and he decided to meet them halfway. Look, I'll make sure Mr. Mayhew drowns you in all the root beer you can drink. Besides, I got a job for you. Once again, Mark motioned for the trio to follow and led them into a small console of screens, each one passing out lines in the same illegible symbols as those in his armor. This one here, he said, as he pointed to the most boring of the lot. It was a simple green line moving from left to right across the glass, tracing small hills and little valleys in a rather rhythmic pattern. If this line goes flat, I need you to press this button, he said, pointing to a large blue button. You understand?
Yes,
the trio answered in unison, but Mark was not convinced. Look, this is important. You can't press this button unless this line goes flat, but if it does, I need you to press it. Okay? This time he was met with three very emphatic nods, and he supposed that this would be as best as he got. So he left them to it and made his way to the town. This left the three staring at the monitor, though they quickly decided that 3 sets of eyes weren't strictly necessary, and Griff drew the short straw. Uma and Sash went to the entrance to get some fresh air in the cool summer breeze rolling over the country.
Sheesh, why didn't we come to him sooner? I bet this would never be a problem in the first place,
Uma stated with certainty.
Well, Sash began, around town Mr. Mark is known as a sourpuss.
Uma looked at the older girl.
Well, I think that he's nice, even if he likes to use bad words.
Oh, great, Sash said.
What?
She just pointed towards the town, and a cloud of dust was slowly making its way through the outskirts.
Trouble.
The pair watched as the cloud slowed as it neared the town center, before coming to a halt just outside where the hall should be. The silence that lingered left them looking at a village that appeared much as it had before, but both knew in their hearts it likely would never be the same after today. Uma's face broke with a TV screen.
Ooh, I bet Mr. Mark is down there giving them a what for...
She was interrupted by the all-too-familiar sound of sputtering of small arms fire coming from somewhere in the town below. Both sets of eyes were locked on the buildings, though there really wasn't anything to see, not from this distance. Then something else roared to life, a sound so deep, so angry, it carried quite clearly all the way up to Mark's property. Even at this great distance, the girls could swear they could feel the thing vibrating in their chests each time it responded to its enemy's gunfire. They watched for a while, listening as the short, angry staccato of automatics would inevitably be met with the bludgeoning of atmosphere of whatever it was that Mark had equipped himself with. It went on this way for a while until Griff broke them out of their trance.
"Hey guys!"
His voice was barely audible over the explosion of sounds emanating from the village.
"Is it supposed to be doing this?"
Sash and Uma both dashed back into the shed to find Griff by the console, worry plastered all over his face. Griff pointed to the screen. The line had become erratic, no longer tracing the perfect peak and mountains and canyons. There was a palpable tremor in his voice as he asked his question.
Do we press the button?"
"No," Sash said. "He said only to press it if the line went flat. It's not there yet." As the line depths and heights diminished, the sound of small arms became more and more sporadic, and even the sound of the skyhammer became less frequent. 3 sets of eyes were glued to the oh-so-boring monitor, watching as the little hills became squatter, the valleys shallower. And then it happened. The line went flat, the button was pressed, and somewhere in the void, an unassuming cargo hauler dropped its FTL and changed course. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.